kind of give back to the ecosystem when they can resonate with what they see, what they hear, to hear and these things from the system.
Okay. Well, I mean, building off of what member just said, like, like we want standardization, right? We want localization. Like, essentially, we just need to remove as much education out of it as possible for the onboarding process. And if you can do that, then it just becomes what everybody is struggling with right now is even in Web 2, right? Is just delivering on your promise, right? And then how great is the experience for what you're asking the user to do. But really a big part, I think, like onboarding is like to really remove as many barriers to entry as possible, and that comes with standardization, localization, and also a lot of education. So perhaps like more university involvement, because like the blockchain isn't going to go away. Like how it evolves, how people use it, that's up to every individual. But the technology is here.
You cannot take education on this.
Probably, in fact, one of the things that sort of comes to my mind is, let's say I'm starting off a company, right? Unless I've raised funds, which is already quite tricky, right? I do not have the bandwidth to educate users, but I do need to do that. Now, we take that a couple of steps further. You have slightly more mature companies. The thing is, the mature companies, they can do education, but they're moving things on a much larger scale that probably education is not the only component that's moving it, right? You've got a bunch of different moving parts. So, in terms of onboarding strategies, I just want to understand, do you think, I think one of the reasons why we had all of these airdrops and all of these incentive programs which came up back then was because they wanted to cut through all of this, be like, hey, there's this massive huge thing that you're going to get, and this is the amount of money you're going to make, and there's this dollar, which is why it was also glitzy all around. So on that front, I think your thoughts in terms of how is it that across this stage, how do you think the onboarding strategies could change, or how it's evolved, or some tips or advice that you might have?
One thing I can think of is coming from Korea and the popular of K-pop. So one company called Hyundai Card, they produced this system where all the concert tickets are purchased through NFTs. So it has the transparency of using blockchain to purchase tickets, and that really prevents secondary market selling in the black markets. So that was something that was really successfully done in Korea this year. And whoever purchased tickets, they had the NFT, and then if they wanted to resell, they were able to resell on the secondary market legally. And then the profit of that was able to go to the concert itself and the artist. So that was something that was really useful for the artist, and that was like a trend and definitely a shaker where that's starting to pick up in Korea. And so a lot of artists in Korea are looking into NFTs, concert tickets in NFTs as well as blockchain. So that was something that was really cool that I wanted to share from.
Okay, that's cool. So, unfortunately, we are almost out of time. So, I've got one last question, and this is a slightly big one. So, now that we've had two entire, a proper bull cycle and a proper bear cycle, now we're back to the bull. We're starting to see a trend where there's institutional involvement, not from an investment perspective, but from a building perspective. You've got big companies, you've got banks, you've got other organizations, MNCs across the world, which are trying to see if they can integrate blockchain tech into their projects. In fact, at Etherspot, because we are an infrastructure provider, we talk to multiple clients like this. Providing how is it that we can abstract away the complexity of building on blockchain. So just one quick round we're going to do in terms of how do you think enterprise involvement in building blockchain applications and scaling those up is going to really help?
From Korean perspective, Hyundai is one of the big conglomerates in Korea, and then Hyundai cars are starting to give out NFTs to car buyers, and then enterprises understand Samsung, which you guys already know, they're making the shift into blockchain and they're really investing into the blockchain, and that is really creating this big, massive adoption to Web3, and that's creating, trend, creating hype, creating awareness, general awareness of Web3, and that's definitely helping. When the big ones move, the smaller ones follow. So.
Cái này nó vừa sạc vừa là cái hóa chứ không phải chỉ dùng phần mềm đâu, phải có cả cái này.
I believe most of you probably heard of Gnosis Pay at this point. So Gnosis recently partnered with Visa, if I'm not wrong. So Visa and Mastercard have been actively providing, crypto cards. I think that is going to play a major role in terms of adoption as well. So the way enterprises and even big businesses like Mastercard and Visa getting into this space by providing cards, I think that's going to be very disruptive. The way I see institutions specifically is I think they need to fund more public goods projects, public goods initiatives that are actively trying to make impact in this space. But I would love to hear any thoughts as well.
I'll just kind of keep it simple. It's more of the fact that the blockchain is really about like the transparency and the immutability of everything. So a lot of enterprises can be like, hey, if you don't believe me, it's on the blockchain. If you don't believe that I will actually give you your interest on doing this, it's in the smart contract, right? Like we put our money where our smart contract is. So I think it's just really down to that. It really will offload a lot of responsibilities and work for them.
So I think the general consensus is that enterprise involvement finally in the building aspect on the blockchain is something that's hugely beneficial. It does make things a lot more easier, as you said, Dazzle. Once the big whales start moving, the rest of the smaller ones follow. And I think great point, Andy, in terms of how is it that from a business point of view, it's also hugely beneficial for the companies as well. So I think that's time. I think we'll have to conclude the panel on this front. I'm so super happy with the kind of discussion we've had. We brought out some great points. Thank you so much, Andy, Mandeep, Dazzle, for sharing your thoughts. I'm hoping that the audiences here have had a great conversation as well. And have had some ideas. Unfortunately, we were unable to open up the panel for an audience Q&A, but I think all of us will be available to chat right after. So feel free to approach us. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.